Welcome to the Spunky Spirit Podcast. I'm your host, psychic medium Carrie Muggs. This is where we learn all things spirit, everything from spiritual gifts, awakenings, ghosts, aliens, and starseeds. Nothing is untouchable, but always fun and spunky. I am honored to be on this spiritual journey with you, so make sure you hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Hello and welcome to this episode of Spunky Spirit, where we're going to talk about the full moon and how it can affect us, or if it can affect us. So today is August 11th, 2022, and there is a full moon today. It's the Aquarius full moon. It's also known as the Sturgeon full moon. And this is because back in the day, the Native Americans knew that this was the great time. This is that the sturgeon fish. So if you don't know what a sturgeon is, it's a great big huge fish. They can get so big, and this is about the time when they would fish for them or get them, because this is when they were at their biggest. It's also known as the harvest full moon. So this is because of the harvest season. And it's also known as a super moon, because there's a couple times during the lunar cycles that the full moon is closest to the earth. And so it's known as the super moon. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Now, I've done a podcast in the past about moon magic and how we, can use the moon energy for different things, like cleaning our crystals and using moon water and what the different moons mean. But this is going to be mostly about the full moon, because it just seems to have so much power, and it seems to, it resembles or is in contingent with our emotions. And so during a full moon, it's said that our emotions can be crazy, or the moon can kind of control that, which is kind of, I believe in a true sense. I believe it's true, because I'm going to read some research that I've done that says that the moon does physically affect us. So here's the thing: if it physically affects us, then I feel like it would emotionally affect us too. And depending on what zodiac sign it's in too. So right now, this full moon's in Aquarius, so it's a lot about emotions, or trying to detach from emotions, or digging deep and figuring out who we are inside of ourselves. So a lot of times full moons aren't just always about letting go of things and bringing new things in. And in the beginning, I kind of thought it was like that, every full moon, I would try and do that. But I've learned that the new moon is more about bringing new things in. The waning moon is about letting things go. The full moon is full effect. And I think this is kind of why, too, the werewolf is so symbolic of the moon. So during the full moon, the werewolf would change into a wolf, because so many emotions, it's just kind of a symbolic of us trying to control our inner selves, or control who we really are, and our authentic selves. And in the symbolism, the moon lets out and unleashes those inner desires that we have, or those inner emotions that we have. And I feel like this is kind of symbolic of a little bit of what the werewolf does. The one thing I do want you to know is this: it doesn't matter what day you decide to manifest, or what day you decide to, you can go to any day on the calendar and manifest what you want, or create what you want, because you have all that you need inside of you already. You don't need crystals, you don't need pendulums, you don't need cards, you don't need all those things. They are there to help you. They're modalities to help you with your spiritual gifts. And same with the moon. The moon can affect your spiritual gifts in certain ways. So here's the thing: I don't want you to think that you can only do certain manifest things, or spells, or rituals, or anything like that under a full moon. Now, here's the thing: you can harness that full moon energy to help you with whatever you want, or whatever your intentions are, or whatever you got going on. You can harness that full moon power. But you've also got to realize too, depending on your emotions, you got to be careful what you do. Like, there are some people that really believe that you need to get your hair cut on during the full moon because it can grow back stronger and fuller. And there are some things I'm going to read too that tell us that, the moon does affect us physically. So, and it is the closest thing to the earth. And it affects the tides of the ocean. So the gravitational pull affects the tides of the ocean. So what makes us think it's not going to affect us somehow? Like, everything is connected. And so if we think, I'm a full believer that the moon does have, I don't want to say power over us, but it has effects on us. It does have effects on our emotions and our spiritual growth and things like that. I believe we have the power inside of us, but I feel like we can harness the power of the moon to help us use it. So the moon is great. It's a great tool for casting spells, or great for cleansing crystals, or great for just when you're manifesting, doing it on a full moon night. And it's just kind of cool. It just really is kind of cool. It's my favorite time is when the moon is full. It's beautiful. So beautiful. Now, if the moon is female, it's got a female, that's why it's named Luna. And because it caused it can make our emotions chaotic. That's why it is called Luna, and that's why lunatic or Luna, because it was named after the emotions of the moon. And there is research that any kind of school kids or any kind of hospitals, emergency rooms are busier and more hectic when there's a full moon. So I thought that was kind of interesting. It is the mother of all the planets, so it symbolizes unselfishness, absolute, eternal love, emotions, intuition, compassion, and gratitude, which makes that so cool because it is a motherly. I even read an article when I was doing my research that said if you want to build a connection with the moon, you need to have a good connection with your mom because it's so maternal and and that will help you. And honestly, if you don't have a good connection with your mom, this is that inner work, that shadow work, right? The shadow of the moon, that part where all with the light comes the dark. And so I thought that was kind of interesting too. So the full moon there is research out there that says the full moon does affect us physically. So during the full moon, the Earth's gravitational pull, when it changes, it causes high tides in the bodies of waters, which we talked about. And in 2013, the National Library of Medicine studied male students if the gravitational pull has effects on their cardiovascular system, so their hearts. And they found that the blood pressure of the student participants dropped to around 5 mHg. I'm not really sure what that is, but it dropped. And they feel like it's not only the blood pressure that dropped, but it's because their heart rate was lower. And so, it was lower than it was when there was not a full moon. So I thought that was kind of interesting. So it could kind of do that with our hearts, maybe lower our heart rate, and also I've read lots of different things, so I'm not really sure, but it says since the body is composed of 80% water, I've also read 60% water. I don't know what the percentage of water is. I've read different articles that say different things. But because the moon can control the high tide when the moon is full, that's how it controls our emotions, because we are made up of a lot of water. Let's just say a lot of water. And this I thought was kind of funny too. The China press reported that women experience heightened sexual desires during a full moon. It's a phenomenon called the white moon cycle. And it's when women's testosterone levels rise and it makes their sex drive shoot up. And according to a survey conducted by the French on a dating website, women said that making love in the moonlight makes them happier and they are more confident about their figure, which I thought was kind of cool, funny too. So Now, this is also, too, I thought it was interesting, too, that yes, the moon does have cycles. And that's interesting because we all have cycles. The earth has different cycles. It has different seasons that it goes through. Women have different menses cycles that they go through. A lot of everything has cycles. It's just a cycle. And the moon is one of those cycles that we continue to go through every month. And I think that it's interesting that a lot of women, in ancient times, and have put they would, a lot of women do now too, but they liken their menses or their menstrual cycles to the full moon. And they feel more connected to the moon when they have that specific time. Now, I have a hysterectomy, so I haven't had one of those for a really, really long time. And when I did have it, I had my gifts, but I wasn't fully awakened to, all of that stuff that combines it. So, but I can feel still, even though I have a hysterectomy, I can still feel certain emotions. I can always tell when there's a full moon, and I can always tell when it's kind of coming, because I do get emotional, or I have a hard time holding on to my emotions, but I also am learning how to harness the power of the full moon. So that helps too. Here's the thing, guys. You don't have to believe in this stuff, and that's fine. But I just think it is crazy. We live on a giant rock that circles, that has cycles, and that this moon and the sun have this relationship. The moon is closer to us than the sun, but the sun is like 400, I think, let me see. I think it happens as though the moon is 400 times smaller than the sun, and it's also about 400 times closer than the sun. But they look the same size. And is that coincidence? No. Is it coincidence that we are on a moving rock? No. So when people are like, these things don't have energy, it's all hocus pocus, I'm just like, guys, we live on a moving rock it's just so, how can it, it's all combined. It's all relative. It all somehow works together. And I think for us to think that the moon doesn't affect us and its cycles is kind of a crazy notion. But that's just kind of my saying. So here's some of the things, how the full moon affects humans. And I'm just going to kind of read that. This is from the website chi-nese.com. And it says the full moons also affects our mental health, which is called the Transylvania effect. So back in the old days, people believed that the full moon makes people crazy, and the term they called lunacy or the Transylvania effect, when the full moon's eerie silver sparkle and the people on the earth below go mad. So the term lunatic is still being used nowadays, pertaining to people who have lost their temper, or they get really mad, and it's persisted. Now, here's the thing too. This is hard for me because I'm a medium and I deal with this all the time. But they say that suicide and trauma can happen more on a full moon. Now, I don't know if that's completely true. So I don't know the research on that, and there is no scientific basis for that. So it can't be really concluded. So I don't really want to loop all that into that. I just think that full moon on spirituality is good. The full moon is a perfect time to let go of negativity, and it just gives, it's starting to give way to the new moon. So this is why a lot of people say during full moons, you can bring new life in or start something new, because we're starting to go to the new moon. And lots of candle lighting, meditation, visualizing your goals, speaking your intention, things like that, the full moon rituals and spells. And there's a lot of people that do that. And I highly recommend it during the full moon too. Now, again, you can do these at any time. If you want to get specific, you can do a certain spell on a certain day. Like every day has a different thing. Now, or a different meaning. I kind of get ahead of myself sometimes, so I have to go back. But I just feel like I just can feel the full moon energy is different. So I kind of harness in on that. And there was an ancient proverb. It says, the sun sees your body, the moon sees your soul. And I love this because it's so true. I love the sun. I'm such a sun person. I have to be out in the sun. My hardest months are between January and April. I can get that seasonal disorder, that seasonal depression, because from May until like September, the sun's out and I can go do things outside and do things outside because the sun has such a strong effect on us. And again, so does the moon. I think they both do. And then October comes and we have which I love, the Halloween, and then we're into Thanksgiving, where we give thanks and gratitude and love. And then I love Christmas, where we give and gift and love and receive. And I love that too. And then January comes and it's like January, February, March, April is so hard for me. But so I think that says the fact that remains that the sun sees our physical selves, and the fact remains that the moon shines through and sees our soul, which can be part of our darker selves. Hence the werewolf, our ambitions, our deepest desire coming out and kind of wanting to do all that, right? So astrologists believe that it is best to cut your hair on a full moon. Now, the hair will grow back quicker, stronger, and thicker, just as the earth is at its most fertile state during the lunar phase, creating a more productive and healthier crop. So is the principle behind the lunar hair. When the moon pulls the tides to the ocean, the moisture on the earth rises, which encourages growth. So I thought that was kind of cool. Yeah. And if you're kind of interested in astrology, which I'm kind of getting kind of interested because it's all relative, right? There's a different sign that the moon is in every time it's full. So right now it's in Aquarius, like we talked about. So sometimes that will affect on the different full moons and the energy. And right now the Aquarius is kind of a big, that's kind of a big emotional one, and detachment. So you can build a relationship with the full moon and see how it affects you personally, because it affects everybody differently, right? So if you have time in the next couple months during the full moon, kind of notice when the full moons are going to be, and maybe don't plan a lot that day. Like plan on days of the full moon, maybe not doing a whole bunch of stuff, and maybe making more time for meditation or having inner journeys or journaling, or just kind of connecting to you and your body and your emotions. And just try that for 3 months and see where it's at. Now, even though the moon also has a specific date on each calendar, it can linger within 3 days. Now, my favorite thing to do is to put water out in a glass container during the full moon, out all night, and then drink it the next 3 days. Now, somebody said you have to do it within 3 days. I don't think that you do, but it's nice to, and so I just do. Yeah. And that's kind of cool and magic. I remember I think I told you about the eclipse water with my nieces. We put the water out for the eclipse, and we told them to make a wish, and she wished that her room would be clean. And by the time she got home, her mom had cleaned her room. I thought that was kind of cool. So, the full moon, I really believe that there is such a power in the full moon, and for some people, it's like folklore, but for me, it's 100% accurate. So. There's lots of studies that have examined the effects of humans, especially with those with mental illness and crimes and fatalities that occur during the full moon, and neurotic behavior and things like that. And again, that's just, I don't think there's any type of real scientific find behind that, but it is kind of well known, right? So now I have been ever since I was little, I've just always, every time there's a full moon, I just thought I was friends with the moon. Like the moon would go everywhere. And there's a show that I watched just the other day, and the girl, Amy Fowler on Big Bang Theory. She directed a film or made a film, and the little girl was kind of in a family dynamics with some abusive parents, and everywhere she went, she's like, the moon follows us everywhere. Where's the moon tonight? It was just kind of her constant safety net. And I kind of felt like that when I was little. I'm not saying that my parents were abusive or anything like that, but I just felt like the moon was always there. It was like a constant companion. And it actually, to me, looked like a face. And I just thought that the moon had this special power, even when I was little. And I just loved it. I felt like it was following me everywhere. And I've always felt this connection. And I do know that my grandson does the same. It's so crazy. Anywhere we go, he'll be like, look, Mom, there's the moon. Look, there's the moon. Look, the moon's following us. And it's just a special, kind of special energy that I felt even when I was little. When my gifts were there, I just kind of always felt that the moon was always my constant companion. And it's kind of cool too. I don't know what that show is, that Disney show with the mouse, and he goes to America, the little mouse go Feifel. I don't know. But in there, he's traveling to America, and they say, we're always looking at the same moon. So it doesn't matter where you're at in the world, you're always looking at the same moon. So anytime that I'm distant from my relatives, or anytime that I'm distant from my family, I just know that we're always looking at the same moon. And it's so much more impactful when it's a full moon. It's just so much more beautiful. It's just so much there. And here's the thing too, I keep reminding everybody, the moon's always full. The moon's always whole. Always, always whole. It's just the way the sun sits that makes it whether we see the whole thing, or makes it whether we see hardly anything of it. And so that's kind of the same with our emotions, right? Sometimes we hide some of who we truly are. We hide our emotions. Sometimes they feel like we're pulling it back. Sometimes we feel like we're bringing them forward like a new moon. And sometimes they're just out there full for everyone to be exposed to, everybody, so everybody can see. And I feel like that's the magic of the full moon. It's just that it's there, and it does have this power, and it helps us to really bring out who we are. And I really, really love that. So I am one to do all the things. And I know that there are some people out there that laugh at me. But I just love the effects of the full moon. I really can feel the energy, and I think it's part of my clairsentient. And I just think it's just an amazing kind of feeling. So, like I said, you can do any type of manifestation or spells or any kind of spiritual work during any day of the month, because you have whatever you need inside you. But to harness the energy of the moon is going to help you tenfold. It's just going to kind of accelerate that or amplify that. And for some reason, for me, when you add water to that, it's just 10 times even more than that. So I remember when we had one of those pools in the backyard, one of those pop-up pools, every full moon, I would just go out there and lay in the pool, or just on one of those floaties, because I just feel like the power, and maybe it's just because I love water, but the full moon with water has it's just a special thing for me. And I just feel so connected or more powerful when I do that. So maybe try that. Maybe this, today, tonight. I don't think, if you don't have a pool, that's fine. But this is where you can at least try to put the water out. And if you want to, you can put crystals, especially moonstones, in the water. And you can feel the energy. And I know, for me, I can feel it. I know that the moon symbolizes our emotions. I know that it helps us to... I just know that every single month I get people writing me or DMing me all the time and saying, what the hell is going on? And why, what's so crazy? Why are my emotions so crazy? And 9 times out of 10, it's either 2 days before the full moon or a little bit prior to the full moon. So it's just it's it's just kind of the way it is, and it's just our emotional self. The moon has a long been connected to our emotional psyches, our emotional behaviors, and our deeply hidden subconscious. It's our desires. That's why, again, I'm talking about the wolf. I think that, there's these wolf desires inside of us, and some of them can be a little crazy, and some of them are, I don't want to say some are normal and some are not, because, and it brings them out of us, and it brings it to the surface. And it's for us to, when they come out to light, it's for us to work on those and to become healthy and know what those are and know how to work with those and make them work for us and become healthy. And I think that's a huge part of our spiritual growth, is dealing with the shadow side of it, or what the Luna side of it, and the beautiful side of it, because really those deep dark things that are inside of us that come out each full moon are actually the beautiful part of us that we need to love, that we're afraid to love, and that we're afraid to connect to. And that's what we need, because we need to love all of us in whole form, all parts of us, not just the fun stuff, not just the good stuff, but also the shadow stuff, the stuff that comes out. And so I really believe that you can use the energy of the full moon to do this. You can do it at any time, and I keep saying that, but because I really want to emphasize that you have all the power within you, but sometimes we need a little help, or sometimes things can help us, and our guides and our ancestors can guide us and direct us, and so can the power of the moon. I just really feel like the moon has a personality, the moon has a spirit about it, the moon is maternal, feminine, beautiful, and I feel like we can call on that energy, and we can use that energy, very giving, for us to every month go in this cycle of bringing to the surface all these emotions that we struggle with, and trying to figure out where they go, or trying to figure out how to deal with them and make them beautiful, and then start anew. And I think that that's a cycle that is just, even the seasons of the earth do the same thing, right? The spring is the beautiful stuff, and, it just is newly born. And then we go through the summer and the fall, and then we figure out how to deal with those emotions. And then they die off, and then we start all over again. It's that beautiful cycle. And I think that it's kind of a gift to us to be able to go through these moon cycles every single month. And what is interesting too is blue moons are when there's 2 full moons in 1 month. And that's why, and it kind of doesn't happen very often, and that's why people say once in a blue moon. I thought that was interesting too. It's interesting the things you learn. I try and bring in the scientific stuff about the moon, because I know there's a lot of people out there that are like me and like the scientific part of it and the spiritual part of it. But honestly, I cannot deny the energy and the beautifulness of the moon cycles and the energy that the moon can give. And I just have always had, I remember even a couple years ago, I would even run outside, because I like to run. And sometimes I would run out in the neighborhood, of course, where it's safer, just when the full moon was out, just because I wanted to be in the full moon, in that energy. So just play with it for yourselves. Keep a journal every full moon. Do the crystal thing every full moon. Do the water thing every full moon, and really tap into your emotions during the full moon. And do this for at least 3 to 4 full moons, and see where you're at, see what happens. And also to see where the zodiac is. So like if they say moon in Sagittarius or moon in Aquarius, look at that sign. Go look at that sign and see what the like if it says moon in Sagittarius, look up Sagittarius and see what the effects of that sign are. See what the strong suits of that sign are. And just know that that's probably what's going to happen during that moon phase. So right now, where it's in Aquarius, some of the things are emotions, which the full moon already is crazy with emotions, anyways. But Aquarius is also like inner stuff, inner dealing with inner things. So that this moon's going to be doing that too. So also too, if you feel more swollen during a full moon, that's very, very normal. I kind of tend to feel more puffy. My eyes get a little more puffy. A lot of people that have the same menstrual cycle of the moon write it off as the menstrual cycle. But even if you don't, sometimes people feel a little inflammatory or inflammation or a little puffy during that time. Just know that it's completely normal, and just try and enjoy or harness the power of the full moon. Figure out how it works for you, because we're all different, and we're all gonna be different the way the full moon affects us. So if you start journaling or keeping notes every full moon, you'll see how you as a person or your sign or your personality can harness those things of the full moon. So know that you're not crazy. Know that it is very real. And know that it's so divinely guided and so divinely beautiful. And it's so cleansing and natural, and don't fight it. Because it's going to happen anyways. And the more that you fight it, the worse or the harder it's going to be. So yeah, so there you go. That's the effects of the full moon. I love it. I harness it all the time. I do things all the time. I used to, like I said before, I used to just kind of think it was a new beginning cycle. Like every full moon was a new beginning, and you get rid of what doesn't work for you and bring in what does. But I'm kind of learning now that there's lots more to it than that. And I'm actually going to start sharing with you some of the stuff that I've learned, because I really feel like the closer that I get to the moon, the more inner work I do, and the better my gift is. Like, it is so phenomenal to me that the more work I do on me, the better my gift becomes, or the stronger my gift becomes, or the more accurate my gift becomes. And so, all this time I've been looking for courses and classes and something external, which is great, because external can give us validation, and that's how we feel love on earth is when we're validated. Someone says you did a great job, and then we feel like that's love, because that's just how earth is programmed. But at the same time, when we kind of don't need that validation, or we don't need that acceptance, and we do inner work, it's amazing how much our spiritual gifts just flourish. And I've also realized too, with some of these moon cycles, they've helped me, because I've like set goals for my business, and I've been like, do, go. And, some of these moon cycles, spirits kind of, I can hear better, and spirits like, this is what you're going to do. Like, you may have, follow your intuition, follow that, inner guidance. And I just feel like my inner guidance is connected to the moon. Now, some of you might not have that inner guidance around the moon. Some of you might feel something, somewhere else, or not have, or feel closer to your guides. To me, the moon is very connected to my gift. So always has been, always, and I feel like it always will be. So there you go. Hope that helps. Next time I'm going to go over the next podcast is going to be some myths and some mistaken ideas about mediumship. So if you guys have any questions about that, let me know. And also too, if you haven't, you can check out, August is over. So pretty much September is going to start being full of more classes and more spirit circles, and I'm going to start doing more spirit circles online, and I'm going to come out with more meditations. So just be ready for that. Right now I'm stepping back and spending time with my family and just trying to do some inner work. So love you guys, and I mean that so much. I know that what I do, I couldn't be here without you. I know, and everything that I do is because I know you. I remember doing this on my own. Remember trying to figure out all this shiz by myself, and And I just want to help those that are like, okay, how do I do this? Or how do I do this? And if there was a rock or anything, a crystal or something that I could give you to help you with your spiritual gifts, believe me, I would do it. But honestly, it's an internal job. It's something internal that you have to do. Crystals and cards and the moon, all of that stuff, it's a modality and it helps you. But honestly, meditation and inner work is the biggest way to build those gifts. So I will see you in a couple weeks, and then we'll start going back to one podcast, one episode every week again. So I love you guys. Hope today brings lots of full moon happiness to you, and I will see you next time.